Yeah. Anyway, I don't know where we're going to be in January, guys. We're desperately looking for venues every month. It's just a new game that Fran and I play. Who's going to not mask us? Who's not going to stop us at the door if we break 100? Although tonight we have a smaller crowd, and I'm going to blame it on the venue. But people might start coming in, so that's fine. They got to find it. They got to make the trek. So thank you for being here. We are going to start with prayer, Mary, and then Sheila is going to lead us in the pledges, and Fran will lead us in the anthem. So if you'll stand up.
And I don't know if you're like me, but I've been praying a lot, so I'm kind of on a roll today. So hang in there. Father, we're coming to you tonight, and we, as David said, we are crying out to you for this country. Father, we repent of all the wrongdoings that we have done, because we have had idols and we have taken you out of so many things within this country. But Father, even with that, you created a shaking within this country with the pandemic and the elections. And so, Father, we have intercessors that are praying that have not prayed this hard in their entire lives. And so, Father, I thank you for that. Father, I thank you that more evangelical Christians voted this year than ever before, because that was a primary goal of so many of us. And so, Father, I thank you for that. I thank you for Beth Van Dyne, Lord Jesus. What a wonderful, wonderful victory that is. For our judges, Lord Jesus, within this county, for our legislators that were reelected. And so, Father, for all of this confusion around our president, we pray for him. We pray for his stamina. We pray that there would be joy coming into his life. I understand that he was so tired. Well, after 43 rallies, I would have been tired too. So, Father, thank you that he is refreshed now and that he has a fighting spirit again. But, Father, would you please help him with that stamina, and would you give him joy each day of his life? Father, we pray for Ben Carson, who's been identified with the COVID today. And so, Lord Jesus, we pray for his health, for his family, for his staff, and for all others that are suffering from this. And we pray, Father, that this vaccine or whatever is going to come, Father, that you would wipe out this vaccine. And we know that in your name that is possible. So, Father, we look to you tonight. We pray for our speakers. We thank you for Julie and for all the work she and Fran do, and for the opportunity of meeting together with like-minded people. And, Father, we love you, and we respect you, and you are sovereignly in control. And I believe, Lord Jesus, that you're going to do something that is so miraculous that we're all going to be standing here saying, only God could do it.
Amen.
So, Father, thank you, thank you, thank you for what you are doing and what you're going to be doing in this country. And in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now to the greatest state in the nation. Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Would you join me in singing our national anthem?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare above bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free
just some announcements to get out of the way. This place is like cozy, like a house, so I feel like you're not being energetic, and I just feed off of your energy, and I'm sure that our speakers will too. So, yeah. So, okay, thank you for that. I'm sure Michael will thank you for that. Okay, big announcement today, just today. Oh, Donald Trump showed up at our meeting. Just today, we finally secured the venue for our Christmas party. So we are going to have a Christmas party, and lucky us, it will be at Glenn Beck's studio. So for those of you who have not been over there yet, it's a real treat. He has an amazing museum over there that we'll get to look at and walk through. We'll play some games and we'll have music. Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus will be there because I don't know if you're aware, but most of the places aren't having Santa Claus this year for the kids because of COVID, whatever. So bring your grandkids, bring your kids. You're welcome to take free pictures with Santa, okay? So that's going to happen Monday, December 14th, and that's the same night that we normally meet, the second Monday of the month. So easy to remember, it should already be on your calendar. And that, of course, is our annual fundraiser to raise funds for our scholarship. So we give a scholarship to a high school student, and that allows us to get into that high school and at baccalaureate or whatever, say who True Texas Project is. And so, you know, those teachers and the PTA, they may not like us, but we're going to be on that stage with the microphone talking. So, yeah, it's sweet. So, if you would just make plans to attend, I think what did we ask for? Like a $25 donation to come to the party. If you don't, you know, no one's going to be checking. So, we'll have a jar there and you can just throw your money in. Okay, so just make plans to be there for that. Okay, I just found out today that they are sending volunteers to lots of different states, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, North Carolina, I'm not sure where else. But anyway, they're looking for folks that will confirm, I don't want to get this wrong, voter affirmation block walking. So they're wanting people to go into these states and voter affirmation block walking. I'm just assuming you're confirming their vote, right? So I don't have any details, but I do have the email address for the guy that has the details. His name's Matt Patrick out of Dallas. He does say that in limited circumstances, they'll be able to partially help you pay for this trip, but they're really looking for people that can support themselves and go and help through the vote, right? And they're saying they'll probably run at least another month, possibly to the end of the year. So, did everybody get the email about where we're at on social media? Please tell me you did, okay? So, yes, thank you. We are expanding. Abby, why don't you stand up? This is like my new best friend, Abby. She has been she's been an intern for us for this semester, and she's done a ton of work for us. She's helping us expand our social media presence because we all know what's happening on Facebook and Twitter and all that sort of thing. So she's got us on MeWe and Instagram and all these things that young people do that I don't do, but we're there now. So thank you, Abby. We're trying to raise funds to hire her, so any monthly donations you can make, that would be fantastic because she's amazing. So anyway, just make sure you look for that email and just click on everything. You know, I'm on MeWe, whatever that is, and I've not done anything with it yet, okay? But I'm ready. When they kick me off of Facebook, I will be ready on MeWe. So just be prepared for that because we don't want to be scrambling at the last minute. MEWE. Who said that? I don't know. Yeah. So, okay, so just get there and be ready. Parlay, whatever. You have all the links you need. Our next dinner club won't be until January. Who here has participated in our dinner clubs? Have you enjoyed that, getting to know people?
Yes.
Yeah, so is my mom in here? Where's my mom? My mom works in the registration desk, but she's the one that coordinates all these dinner clubs. So you can sign up through her or email. Her email has been sent out several times, but I can get it to you if you need it. Yeah, rncarol at gmail.com. Carol with an E. So, okay. What else do I want to tell you? I think, Fran, you're next. Yeah.
Y'all make me feel so loved. I love it. I'm here to talk to you again, if you've been to our meetings before, about our citizen advocates. And if you haven't been to our meetings before, you want to pay attention to this. We are a very action-oriented group. We don't just have meetings and listen to speakers and sit around and gripe about how bad things are and crying one. We actually do stuff.
There you go.
So, our citizen advocate group is part of that. We are especially active during the legislative session, which is about to start up again in January. Our speakers tonight are going to talk to us a little bit about that, but we are still looking for more and more people to get involved. Now, I send out actual assignments, please do this, X and Y and Z. But it doesn't go to the whole True Texas Project email list. So if you're getting True Texas Project emails, you won't be getting these unless you sign up on my list. I want people on the list that are going to be willing to do what we ask them to do. So I don't want to be sending it out to the world and hope for the best. I need people we can count on. We take frequent trips to Austin during this session. We testify at hearings. We talk to legislators. We write position papers and take them to the committee members and things like that, doing whatever we can to influence the legislation and try to get Republican priorities passed in the legislature. It's a big job, but we work on it every session. We've been doing it since 2013. So with that in mind, I'm going to send around a sign-up sheet. If you've already signed up, don't do it again. You're on the list. But if you haven't and you would like to get involved, there's no obligation when you put your name on this list. What happens is when I have an assignment, I send out an email. If you can do that assignment, you do it. If you're busy and you can't, or maybe it's a trip to Austin and you can't go to Austin, then you don't, and you try again the next time. So, all it means is you're going to get emails from me. And I promise I don't usually do them more than once a week. So, let me know afterwards if you have further questions about that. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have, well, first of all, for Sheridan. Oh, you guys are all in place. Perfect. So we're going to pass the hat to help us pay for our venue. Our speakers tonight actually were free, but we do have monthly expenses that we have to cover. So if you have money you can throw in the hat, that's awesome. And if you don't, that's fine, because this meeting is free and there's no pressure. But we do want to ask you if you would consider going to our website and signing up for monthly donations. Like I said, we're trying to hire an employee. And so if you could throw in $5 a month just on a regular basis, 15, whatever. I think our average is what, $20 a month? It really helps us budget, and then we know what we can afford. So you do that online. But while that's going around, do we have candidates here that want to come up and speak? Hopefully we have people that want to say thank you. I see one. Come on up, Jeff. It's amazing how they disappear.
Anthony, did we agree to do this for free? Hey everybody, thank you. I'm Jeff Kaysen, and most of you know we just won District 92 State House. This has been a 1.5 year long job interview, and I'm going to work for you. You're going to be my boss, and I'm going to expect you to hold me accountable, not that you're going to have to try very hard. And I promise to be transparent and honest in everything I do and say. You can take that to the bank, okay? But I want to thank everybody that was a part of our campaign. You know who you are. There's too many to call out, but it was a tremendous team effort. We're going to Austin, no strings attached, because we didn't get a lot of help from the establishment. So it feels pretty good.
There you go.
But there are a lot of folks that helped us along the way. And as I've always said from the beginning, there's no I in team. It was a team effort, and we held people see it too. And I'm going to look forward to having a lot of fun with anybody that wants to visit. And I promise you this, Rand, wherever you went, if they try and close that Capitol to everybody but legislators, turn on your TV, because you'll see me in the news. This is the people's house. It's your house. It's our house. And you have a right to come into that house. So, one other quick thing real quick. The action's already cranked up concerning the speaker race. And you've seen a lot of posts and a lot of comments already generated. And it seems to be business as usual. I attended a meeting down there last Thursday, and I didn't know what to expect, but after I left, it really didn't surprise me, knowing what had happened on the previous speaker and the one before that. And it really did feel kind of like business as usual. Hurry up and get on the train. And it's amazing how many phone calls I got after Tuesday. But I just want you to know, I'm keeping my powder dry, and I'm not jumping on that train.
All right.
Okay?
There you go.
The reason I'm not jumping on that train is because we fought our hearts out to keep that State House ready.
Right.
And what I can't get my head around yet, and I suppose it will come, but I can't get my head around the fact that we've got to rely on a couple, 3 dozen Democrats to help us elect a Republican Speaker of the House. We've got 83 Republicans, and I've told a couple people, we need to kind of do it like the Pope when he's getting there. We need to all go in a room, shut the doors, and don't come out until there's white smoke coming out the chimney. Okay? That's what we need to do. I think between 83 Republican legislators, we should be able to choose one candidate to support and vote for without the help of Democrats. Okay? And all you have to do is look on the national scene of what's going on right now before our very eyes. Democrats are trying to steal this election of the highest office in this land, and it's despicable, and it makes me furious. So, just be of good cheer, take heart, and know that this legislator to be will not fold like a cheap suit. Okay? And I will hold the line on our conservative values and principles, and I will stand up for the beliefs of the people of District 92 and those that helped put us there. And I'm not going to Austin to join a club or a fraternity or a lodge.
All right.
Okay? I'm going to Austin to represent the people of House District 92 in the subject. So that's all I've got to say. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Me again. I'm Pat Wilbur, and I'm running for governor in 2022. Texas is a big state. I've got to leave as soon as I get my website and my card printed. And I'm going to get the government out of our schools. If I gotta do it, it's all right. And I want you to know, I made my daughter mad. I told her that I'm going to invest every bit of my cash retirement savings. I'm putting in all my life, and I'm going to go as far as it'll take me. I have my duplex paid for, and I can live on Social Security. Number 2, the Blue Beamer had an oil leak. It was going to cost me $700. I bought me an Alfa Romero. But she spoke to me one time since then. But, and some of my friends are planning on going on the road with me, and I'm going to cover Texas, all of it. I'm from West Texas. I have family out there. I've warned them I'm coming. And I'm going to put my whole life into it because the Lord told me to do it. I prayed about it for a year, and He gave me the best year of my life last year. I acted in a play. I gave a style show, and it was 19, anyhow. And I did everything a 39-year-old woman does. And he showed me that I have the energy and the will to do it. You better.
I just don't know how anyone says no to that. I just don't. So thank you, Pat, for your heart. Okay, do we have anybody here for the first time tonight? Who is our first time visitor? Leave your hand up. We have something for you. Thank you so much for being here. We're a really fun group if you haven't figured that out yet. So thanks for being here. And I also wanted to let you know, leave your hands up because they're passing something around. So I wanted to let you know that just this past week, Abby and Fran and I went, and my husband, wherever he is, he's in here somewhere. We went to Lubbock so that we could launch True Texas Project Lubbock County. So that was very exciting for us. Really, really solid people out there. So we're excited about that. We're still working on launching Collin County. Those will both happen in the new year. Fran, what are the other counties we're looking at? You just emailed me the whole list today. Williamson, Bear, something down on the coast, which I'm volunteering for that one. Aransas, Rockport. Yeah, And then Harris County, I know, is on the list. So anyway, we're getting around. So we're super excited about that, about all the growth. And I'm really just stalling while they pass out these bags. So keep your hand up and let them give you a bag. And then where's Susan? Susan, come on up. She's going to introduce our speakers. Anyway, I knew I wanted to tell you something. Come on up, Susan. Is the live feed going? Where's Grummer? Is it started? Okay, well, let's everybody welcome Todd Key because he's in Lubbock checking out the live feed because when they meet, they're going to watch us live. So turn around and wave to Todd.
We have great speakers tonight. I'm so pleased and privileged to introduce them. I'm going to start with introducing Michael Quinn Sullivan. I hope you all know him and read his articles and today's minute every morning like I do. He's going to introduce the crew that's also going to speak. But I found one quotation that I thought was an excellent way to introduce it to you tonight. I'm not the author of this, I found it online. Michael Quinn Sullivan is a public policy wizard who works day and night to make sure the values of limited government and individual freedom that the vast majority of Texans share is actually reflected in the halls of power where the decisions are made about how our hard-earned money is spent. Please welcome Michael Quinn Sullivan.
Well, thank you. The problem with nice introductions is I should now just shut up. Because I'm now going to go about the delicate business of disproving the nice things that said about me. So I appreciate that. I'm going to do two things. But first, I want to kind of lay out a premise that my colleagues, Brandon Walton, who's the managing editor of Texas Scorecard, and Carrie Cheshire, who is heading up the Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, a theme that's going to run through what we want to encourage you with this evening. And that's simply this. Never before has it been more important than it's going to be tomorrow and every day after that citizens are engaged in their government at all levels.
That's right.
We are seeing it at every step. In Mahia, Texas, a government employee has been arrested and charged with 137 counts of voter fraud in Mahia, Texas. I bet many of you don't know where Mahia, Texas is. It's a little small town. And if a government employee in a little small town is engaged with literally stealing the votes of 34 disabled men and women, that should tell you the level of fraud that's going on in our elections. And I guarantee you this lady was not stealing those votes to go vote for Donald Trump. And even if she was, it'd be bad too. Just to be clear for those watching at home. You and I have to be more vigilant than ever. It is so tempting right now when you've got CNN, Fox News, the New York Times, the Dallas Morning Snooze, the Union Control, Fort Worth Startled Ground, go down, all of them telling you, well, President-elect Biden is looking forward to his first day on the job. It's very easy for us to go slinking off.
No.
That's what you are supposed to do.
No.
You are supposed to not be here tonight. You're supposed to be at home, drowning your sorrows in an adult beverage. That's what you're supposed to be doing tonight. That is what everything you're seeing going on right now is designed to do. It's to depress you and to discourage you so that they can run roughshod over our republic.
Nope.
Now is the time for
Yes.
you and I to stop feeling defensive about our views, feeling defensive about our engagement, and get more involved and more engaged and become the annoying neighbor and the annoying family member at Thanksgiving, although I think many of you are already that. Encouraging our friends and our family to slough off their apathy, to slough off their sense of, and maybe even their sense of discouragement. Because you and I have the opportunity to lead. You and I do not look at Jeff Casey as a wonderful fellow. He's your servant. And he has 149 of them in the Texas House and 31 of them Senate. We're also servants. They will pick among themselves who's going to be, the chief servants and all those kind of decisions. But ultimately, the responsibility for leading our republic does not rest on Donald Trump, does not rest on Jeff Casey, not Joe Casey. It rests on you and me. And you and I have to commit to each other to be more engaged today than we've ever been before. You and I have to be committed to fighting harder than ever before. The election of 2020 is literally being slowly stolen. And thank goodness we have a president who is demonstrating, whether he is successful ultimately or not over the next, how many days it is, 60-some days. Whether he's successful or not, he is at a bare minimum modeling a willingness to fight. And I'm sick and tired of folks on our side who will sit there like, golly, the election's coming, but we'll just sit here quietly and be the bigger. No. We have to fight like our republic depends on it. Do you know why? Because our republic depends on it. Our republic literally hangs on us being engaged as citizens. And so if you are okay with the United States of America becoming the 6th province of Canada, or if you are okay with the United States of America being, consumed into some, NATO union, I don't know what it would be, then okay, that's fine. We can slouch and slither our way into the obscurity of history books. Or if you and I are willing to fight, and that's all you and I are allowed to commit to. You and I are not allowed to commit to being victorious. We can't promise that. We can't promise being faithful. We can promise being willing to fight with our last measure of breath. Wednesday is Veterans Day. A couple of you? My eyes are too dim now. I think a Marine sitting here. I always tell the Marines they're the ones who have a purpose in life. But the Wednesday are the day when those folks who celebrate and recognize their willingness to literally fight.
Right.
And you and I must not shirk from our responsibility as citizens to do the kind of fighting that still lets you go, sleep in your own bed and have a nice warm breakfast and all those kinds of things. You and I must be willing to fight harder than we've ever fought before to save our republic. So let me tell you quickly what we're doing as part of that fight, as we look at the needs that we perceive among citizens. We started a group called Empower Texans going on as in 2006, that'd be 14 years ago. Started that organization with the sense that We wanted to serve Texans, to help Texans run their government, to help Texans be in charge, to see how citizens should be more powerful than the lobby, be more powerful than the politicians. Citizens are supposed to be in charge. We tell ourselves we don't want a seat at the table, we want to overturn the table and knock down the walls so that more citizens are participating in the process. So from Empower Texans grew out a couple of very successful activities. Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, which rates the legislature, which explains to citizens how the process works and helps citizens be more engaged in making sure that government is not only reduced in its growing, but reduced in its size. Liberty is under threat because government is just so darn big. Government is crushing our nation. Government is crushing our states. Government is crushing our cities. Government is crushing our schools. Government is not, in any way, shape, or form, the answer to the problem. Government is the problem. Texans for Fiscal Responsibility helps put that into a visual aid so you can see who's actually working to reduce the size of government and who's working to serve the growth of government. That's Texans for Fiscal Responsibility. Texas Scorecard has existed to help citizens understand the weaving narrative of who's the good guys and the bad guys, to see where the fights are that are coming down the horizon, so that we as citizens can be more actively engaged in those fights to be able to fight more effectively. The first fight coming up is a fight that Mr. Cason already alluded to. Brandon Walton is now going to talk and come up and give you a little bit of an insight towards, and that is the fight on who's going to run the Texas House. Republicans, Texans, for whatever reason, Texans decided that they wanted to believe the sales pitch of the Republican Party. And Texans decided that they wanted to keep Republicans not only in charge of the Texas House, but but to even make that Texas House a little more conservative. In Harris County, that got rid of a leftist, pro-abortion, big government Republican named Sarah Davis, and meanwhile elected Michael Schofield, a conservative. Okay, so that's how the numbers stayed the same. The worst Republican Texas House was defeated in November, and a strong conservative was re-elected in November, all from Harris County. So Texans want Republican control, which means they want things accomplished. So Brandon's going to now come up and talk about where the race for the speakership is and how it is that the Democrats seem to be on the verge of getting their preferred speaker candidate as the speaker.
Thank you. I'm actually from Cal. How many people are actually from Cal? Live in Cal? A few of you? Okay, I graduated from Cal High School. It's good to be back here. Good to start out on our True Texas project. Little tour here in Tarrant County. I know we've got Dallas County coming up, and I don't know if you're allowed to wear jeans to that. You have to wear a three-piece suit. We have the people down. Michael talked about it. There is a race going on that is far from over, and yet the media says it's done. They've already declared a winner. And I'm not talking about the presidential race. I'm talking about the Speaker of the House. Right now, you have a candidate. His name is State Representative Dave Field. Okay? In a secret backdoor meeting just 2 days before the election, when nobody knew what the Texas House was going to look like, whether or not Republicans were going to stay in control. 2 days before the election, you had a secret backroom meeting. And you had some Republicans picking Dave Field, the state representative from Beaumont. He's been in the legislature for a few years. Before that, he was a legislative staffer. I mean, this guy is a capital creature by every sense of the word, you know the kind. Not only that, I mean, you look at his record, not particularly conservative, I'd say. I think he was a 49 or something on the Texans for Fiscal Responsibility Index. He's notably, I don't know if this is something we're looking for in a speaker, he was one of 3 Republicans to receive accolades from Equality Texas, which is the LGBTQ, AIZ plus, whatever. I don't know if you're going by now. Notably, by the way, one of those other 3 was the aforementioned Sarah Davis, who is no longer there. So voters kick out one of those members. Meanwhile, our Republican legislators, or at least a great number of them right now, are trying to set up one of the other 3 to lead the House. Now, maybe this would be understandable. I wouldn't agree with it. Maybe it would be understandable if Republicans were barely hanging on. If it was a 76, 74, we don't know, we had big losses. But that's not what happened on Tuesday. It's not what happened on Tuesday. You saw, as Michael mentioned, again, you've got the same ratio, 83 Republicans and 67 Democrats. And that doesn't even tell the whole story, because that doesn't say the millions of dollars that Democrat groups from across the country poured into Texas because they knew that this election was going to be important. They knew it because of redistricting, especially because they thought they had a chance to turn Texas blue. That's not what happened. So right now, Dave Phelan is calling the race over. He says he's got the commitments of a supermajority of Republicans. He's got Democrats bragging about that, saying Democrats want to work with me, Republicans want to work with me. We're going to get this done. But have the citizens vote, right? Because as Michael said, they work for us. And not only has the Republican caucus not really formally met to select a nominee, but really, ultimately, there's no Speaker of the House until they vote on January 12th. When they reconvene, it's one of the first votes they take. And so the media says the race is done. But, you had a very interesting thing happen today. I'm going to pull it up here. Republican Party of Texas Chairman Alan West. Do we like Alan West? He put out a statement. You're not supposed to do this as a Republican Party of Texas chairman. That's what they would say. But he had put out a statement today, even after a number of Republicans have said, oh, Dave Phelan, that's our guy. He put out a statement, and I'm just going to read it in part, but I really encourage you to read the whole thing. And you can read the whole thing at texasscorecard.com. But he says, let me clearly state this. The Republican Party of Texas will not support nor accept State Representative Dave Phelan as Speaker of the Texas House. Texas does not need a Republican political traitor, not at a time when the two diverging philosophies of government are this elusive. The Republican Party of Texas will not sit back idly and watch leftist Democrats be placed as committee chairmen who will undermine, kill our legislative priorities, as happened in the 86th Texas legislative session. Do we agree with that? But he's getting a lot of grief for it. But it's not just him that's out there, right? We've had y'all are making your voices spoken. We've had grassroots groups from across the state that have said, whoa, wait a minute, stop, guys. Let's actually consider this. Let's look at this. So I'm going to tell you this. Whoever your state representative is, if it's if it's Jeff Casey, I think has made his position clear there. By the way, a side note, won't it be nice to finally have some conservative representation in the District 98 That's that one. Yeah, so that one's getting a genre. But no matter who it is, you need to make sure that your voice is heard, because these people are going to try to go in, and we saw what they did last session with Bonner. It was a big unity parade. It was a big feel-good session, and then it was over, and nothing got passed. I don't think it feels so good anymore. So now is the time to make your voices heard on that. The big question I get from a lot of people as they look at the next legislative session is whether or not they're going to even be allowed to go into the building. I know that groups like True Texas Project and other groups love to go down there, love to testify, love to go make their voices heard. We're at Texas Scorecard, we're looking into that. I'll tell you right now, it's very, very, it's uncertain. And my personal feeling is I think that the winds are sort of changing right now. I think that the pressure is on. If we had Democrat control in the Texas House, I think it would probably be right out. Unfortunately for them, and these are, I'm talking about Republicans and Democrats, unfortunately for them, that didn't happen. And so now I think a lot of the pressure is there. But I don't know if you saw this, a few months ago, they actually did an anonymous survey of the members. And they all got to say, oh, what do you, should the Capitol be open? What should it look like? Should we let people in? Should we have committee hearings? Should it be virtual? And a majority of them said they wanted it shut. They don't want us there. They don't want us there, but I kid you not, and you can't make this up. It's actually pretty fun to go through the responses. They do want the snack bar to remain open. They literally, the snack bar, we can't touch that. It's a long session, it's a long day. But as we look forward, I think you're going to see in-person testimony. I really do. I was in the Capitol the other week. They had the plexiglass little barricades already set up in the committee rooms. But whether or not, we're going to be monitoring that issue closely, but I can tell you whether or not it's sitting there in the committee room, or whether they try to do some virtual thing or submit written testimony. We've seen some of that with some of the interim committees. No matter what they do, they think that they can shut the doors and they can keep the citizens out, they can plug their ears, and then maybe they won't have to hear from us. But that's not going to happen. I know that y'all are not going to let that happen, right?
Yep.
So as we look at the next session, there's a lot of conservative legislative priorities, a lot of big areas where, especially with 83 Republicans and 67 Democrats, again, keeping that same margin, even despite big spending by Democrats, there's a number of areas where they're going to be really, really important to look at. Specifically, I think a great sounding off for it is that Republican Party of Texas legislative priorities. There's 8 of them. First one's election integrity, by the way. How important is that? I mean, how relevant is that right now? Sure. I spoke to Alan West actually with an interview last week up at TexasScorecard.com, and he said he would actually kind of add a 9th to those legislative priorities, which is restricting the emergency power of the governor. There's a number of great issues there. Carrie Cheshire, as Michael mentioned, is heading up Texans for Fiscal Responsibility. We're just going to be looking at a lot of those issues, how they relate to fiscal policy, but just rating, how do our members actually go and vote? I don't want to speak for him. I'm going to let him speak for himself here, but please give it up for Carrie Cheshire.
Thanks, Brandon, and thanks to each and every one of you. I can't tell you how excited I am to be somewhere where I don't see so many damn masks. I can see real people. I mean, the People's Republic of Austin, you can't even go through a Whataburger drive-thru without them looking at you sideways for not wearing a mask. But up here, in real Texas, oh, it's so much better. It's so much better. Well, as Brandon alluded, we had a big victory on election night where Donald Trump won re-election. I'm sure they're going to take a while to figure it out. But I take them at their word that if every legal vote is counted and all the illegal votes are discounted, that it's absolutely clear that he won. And it's clear that Republicans won in Texas. Right. And the question is, what did Republicans vote for? What did each and every one of you vote for? Did you vote for deals with Democrats? Did you vote for the Capitol to be shut? Did you vote for 15 days to slow the spread to go on to, I don't know, what's it going to last, 15 years now? You didn't vote for any of that. And the Republican voters across the state, by their decision to shut Democrats out of statewide office for what is now a 26-year streak. The last time a Democrat was elected in the state of Texas was in 1994. That's statewide. Statewide office. So Republican voters Texas voters since 1994 in Texas have been saying, we want Republicans to run the government in Texas. But what have we had? Have we had Republicans running the government? We've had Republicans first of all, I mean, you had divided government up until the mid-2000s when Republicans finally took the Texas House. Then Democrats and Joe Strauss took it away again. But then Republicans took it back when he finally headed for the exit because of pressure from people just like you. But in the meantime, what are our elected officials talking about? Have you seen, Brandon mentioned Dave Phelan campaigning for Speaker. Do you know that Dave Phelan has not promised to put a single Republican Party legislative priority on the floor of the Texas House? Indeed, he hadn't promised to put anything on the floor of the Texas House. If he wanted to come out and say, these 8 legislative priorities, I don't think they're so great. I think I got something better. Well, then at least maybe people would have something to vote on. Hadn't said that. Instead, what has he said? We're going to put Democrats as chairs of committees. The people of Texas didn't vote for Democrats to chair committees. And as we come and approach the legislative session, what are they going to talk about? They're going to say, oh, well, Representative Kaysen, I know that you campaigned about lowering property taxes, but now it's time for us to govern. We need to make investments in things like investments, by the way, something that no investor would ever invest in, right? It's only government that makes these loser investments. We have to make investments. People don't have enough sewer access down in the colonias in the Rio Grande Valley. And it's very important that your voters, the guys who sent you up here in House District 92, they need to pay for those people to have better sewer access down in the colonias. you know, the real governance issues like roads and bridges, because that's what we voted for people for. How many of y'all block walked for roads and bridges? How many of y'all voted for roads and bridges? I mean, we expect you to get it done. We expect to have roads and bridges. But I, as a voter, I voted to get my property taxes cut. I voted so that unborn Texans would be protected in the world. I voted that my tax dollars wouldn't be weaponized against me by my own governments and taxpayer-funded lobbying. I voted that our state would actually follow the Texas Constitution and allow constitutional carry. That's what I voted for. I don't know about y'all. Did somebody vote against those things sitting here? But instead, it looks like we're on our way to go along, get along governance. Where you've got folks like Greg Abbott going out and bragging about our election laws, which, I mean, it does look like they seem a little bit better than Pennsylvania. But hey, sitting in the front row of the short bus isn't exactly an accomplishment. Do you know that here in the state of Texas, we don't even verify citizenship on our voter rolls? You know, does anyone know, how do we find out that someone's an illegal alien, or maybe they're a lawful alien? How do we find out that they're not supposed to vote? Fran, how do we do it? They refuse jury duty. That's making them self-report. Maybe some of them show up for jury duty. Maybe some of them say, well, hey, here in Tarrant County, we can get paid. I don't know, maybe I'll do that. And I get to vote. But isn't that bonkers? Isn't that wild? How are we going to have a government that serves we the people when our government doesn't even know who we the people are? We need our Republican legislators to understand that they were elected by Republicans and they exist for Republicans. And that our platform and the platform of groups like True Texas Project who go and block walk for these candidates, that's what we want to see as our legislative priorities. We don't want to see our government tell us that we need to be that, oh, well, we're the adults in the room, and you just don't understand. It's actually really different in Austin. You know, it's actually very important that we keep public posting laws that make us funnel taxpayer dollars to things like the Dallas Morning News and loser journalistic entities, and that we can keep them afloat because they write nice things about us. It's actually really important that we make sure that your tax dollars can go to facilitate the collection of public sector labor union dues that go spend $20 million on Democrat campaigns every cycle. That's actually really important. You just, all you people with your little pocket constitutions, you just don't understand. That's what they communicate by their actions. How many of y'all block walked, voted, donated for investments in mental health? Not me. But how often are we going to see that? How often are we going to see that from our elected officials? The encouraging news is that we are seeing a brush fire lit all across me. There is more energy right now in the conservative movement than there was in 2010 with the Tea Party wave. The grand old party of go along, get along, surrender republicanism is over. And we are ready to fight and demand better of our elected officials. And we're going to say to people like you, Jeff Casey, you need to come back with blood on your knuckles or results in your hands. And nothing else. Don't come back with well, I was the freshman of the year, voted by Texas Capital Insider Monthly. Or don't come back like one of your colleagues in Denton County and say, well, I was voted Democrats' favorite freshman. Not necessarily a recipe for success. Did any of y'all want to vote for Democrats' favorite freshman? I mean, hey, if these people, if they change their mind, y'all listen to them. I don't vote for you, they do. But that's the deal, is that we have, I believe, an awakening in this country, some motivation and energy in this country, and I mean, Donald Trump kicked a whole lot of it off. And we are going to fight, and it's very exciting to see it. So a little bit about what we're doing at Texans for Fiscal Responsibility. As Michael noted, Texans for Fiscal Responsibility started in 2006. We've been dedicated to highlighting what goes on in Austin with legislators' voting record ever since. You've probably seen your lawmakers score on our Fiscal Responsibility Index, either at our website, or a number of individuals might have sent it to you in a campaign mailer. In the case of some lawmakers, look at me, I did very good, I got an A. Or in the case of other lawmakers, look at this guy, he did really bad, he got an F. I think both of those are very important. You know, Julie, I'll kind of quote her really quickly. I think she quoted, I forget who it was, but it was in regard to our elected officials, when they do something right, we have to praise them loudly. And that way, when they do something wrong, we can hound them unceasingly. But accountability runs both ways. Because we have to know that everyone that we elect, everyone that we send down to Austin is going into battle against the legion of the purple-haired and pierced people, and all of the weirdos that 6th Street and 4th Street and 8th Street, I guess, I don't know who lives there, can muster. It's a very different place. Doesn't look very much like Keller, doesn't look very much like Lubbock. Though I'll tell you, I mean, I'm from Southeast Texas, I don't want it to look like Lubbock, that's just me. But I'm excited and encouraged. I think that with Alan West at the helm of the Texas GOP, and with grassroots movements getting started all across the state of Texas, we're going to see a groundswell of public support demanding our elected officials do things like ban taxpayer-funded lobbying, eliminate Robin Hood, protect our speech on campus, in the city square, everywhere else, actually have real deal election integrity that's not killed in the Texas House, that's not killed in the Texas Senate, where we actually go after things like illegal aliens voting and people recruiting people to vote by mail and awful and corrupt schemes. I'm excited about where we're going. I think that we have a tough way to go. We've got a very, use an SAT word, recalcitrant legislature who's going to be fighting us each and every step of the way. But look at what the swamp did to Donald Trump. They fought him every step of the way, and look at what he was able to accomplish in 4 years. And that's the standard we need to set. I mean, Donald Trump did it. If Donald Trump can do all of these great things in Washington, which is run by swamp creatures and Democrats, we ought to be able to do at least twice as much of that here in Texas, which is run by Republicans. And I think we've got a powerful opportunity this year to remind Governor Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and almost all of our statewide Republicans, hey buddy, you're on the primary ballot. It's time to pony up. It's time to deliver. Because just like each and every one of us would do if we had someone come in and do tile in our bathroom, or we had someone come in and do landscaping or something else, we're not going to pay them if they don't do the work. We're not going to hire them again if they don't do the work. And our elected officials need to get that very same message. So I'm excited, I'm encouraged. Either we're going to be let into the Capitol, or Fran Rhodes is going to lead a battering ram. I'm going to shoulder it. We're going to get in there. It's important you are able to carry in the Capitol, so might have to defend that battering ram just a little bit. But I'm excited and encouraged. I'm happy to take any questions that y'all might have about the specific outlook on specific issues as things start to take shape here in Texas. Yes, sir.
How many of these 83 are involved in the factor of
All but 4.
Oh.
All but 4. So Jeff Kason's an odd man out. Brian Slayton's an odd man out. Kyle Biederman, Tony Tinderholt. Those Republicans have not gone along to get along with somebody campaigning for a position that they're not even saying what they're running to do. All of the other members of the Republican caucus have done it. And the most frustrating thing is that if you listen to them, they'll say, well, hey, look, we had to go with Dave Fuel. Who's the most conservative of the options? Well, first of all, that's self-limiting because you've decided what the options are. And second of all, how do you know that he's the most conservative of the options? Because he hadn't promised to do anything. If someone was running for city council and they were a 4R Republican primary voter, and And somebody else was running for city council, and they were a 4D Democrat voter, but they said, hey, we're going to make, I'm going to vote to make, I live up in Leander, I'm going to vote to make Leander a sanctuary city for the unborn. I'm going to vote to cut your taxes by 10%. I'm going to vote to cut the budget, do all this stuff. I'd be like, well, this guy's promising me something. Maybe he disagrees with whatever on the president, but he's a more conservative candidate. You can't have a more you can't tell which candidate's more conservative if they haven't made any promises. So that's the most frustrating thing. But yeah, so you got 79 out of 83 going with Dave Phelan thus far.
You get the matter of, you know, open the floor for nominations, and one person nominates another, and then they vote on it. How does it work?
Well, once it goes to the actual floor in January, yeah, it'll work like that. Right now, it's, you know, secret phone calls, little meetings, and things like that, and people having press conferences announcing their support. Yes, Julie. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he was asking how many people have gone and signed up to support, how many Republicans have signed up to support Dave Phelan? Other questions? Yes, sir, right here. Well, I think so to kind of address your
Repeat
question a little bit. So he said that in 2019 that we didn't have real property tax relief. And that's true. We did have some stuff that bit around the apple. We did have some things that actually academically cut your taxes. But if you did like I did and you look at your tax bill, it still went up. And I mean, none of us would believe Dish Network or DirecTV or anybody else if they said, hey, great news, I just cut your cable bill. We said, oh, okay. They're like, yeah, you were paying $120 a month, but thanks to this, you're only going to pay $130 a month next year. Well, I thought you said you cut it. Oh, we did. You see, it was going to go up to $150 a month. Well, thanks a lot. No, I think that we've seen that this piecemeal property tax reform and relief, just the reform just lets it go up slower. That's positive, but you're still bleeding out, right? And the relief didn't lead to real tax relief where you actually see tax bills go down. I think that they didn't know how small it was going to be, and I hope that we remind them so that they actually make good on that. I think it's very important for them to realize the cost, and especially as it relates to the tax swap, where they were looking at, oh, we'll increase the sales tax, and that way we can lower the property tax. And it'll be a one-to-one in its best case scenario, and a worst case scenario will funnel up some of the money to grow government and pay teachers more. We're all taxed enough already, conservatives. We're not tax me a different way, conservatives. I don't want to pay, I'm not here because I want to be taxed a different way. I'm here because I want to pay less. Other questions? Yes, sir.
All right, since we're on this Republican movement right now, is there any way that we can pressure on us? Look at those guys and say, this is our guy, we put pressure on our rest. Pick this guy.
So his question is, we're on a Republican movement. It seems like we have Republican numbers in the Texas House that Republicans could pick anybody they want, and we as a grassroots could say, this is our guy, we all want you to vote for that guy. We could try that. I don't know that they're going to listen, but it's worth a shot.
Well, let me ask you this. I've come to a lot of these meetings, and I understand that Texas Light, you guys all have surrounded around with work together. If you guys get together and work together, it's Texas good. Can't we pick the guy we need? Can't we find somebody? Yes or no?
No. Ultimately, we don't get to make the call. It's worth the effort.
But we put the pressure.
If we put enough pressure on them, I think we could do it. But I think what would happen is we'd have to put enough pressure and then demonstrate that pressure next go around, or they're not going to do it. I have heard, and I believe this is a good idea, people floating the idea that we nominate someone at the GOP convention in 2022 as our speaker nominee, and we call on everybody to vote for him. I don't know. I haven't completely, I'm not supporting that necessarily, but I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, but that's 2 years from now.
It's 2 years from now. That's right.
But
I'm for it. I'm for it. I'm just telling you like it is.
Do they vote on a secret ballot, or is it by?
It's a real deal. You can see the lights on the board, and it goes into the journal how they vote. By your name, yep. Yes, sir, you in the back.
Regarding trimming the governor's powers during an emergency, during a disaster, what all would it entail to limit those powers? Is this a matter of fixing the Disaster Act in Texas, or are there other pieces of legislation that would need to be passed to get what I think most of us in the conservative grassroots want, and that is to present what they did starting in March, so never having to limit it.
Yeah, so the question that was asked for y'all watching up in Lubbock is reforms to the governor's power as it relates to emergencies. Do we only have to amend the Texas Disaster Act? Do we have to amend more legislation? Do we potentially have to amend the Constitution? And the answer to that is multifaceted. Obviously, there's a number of things that you could do. I will note that I believe the Texas Disaster Act is unconstitutional the way it is. You can't delegate the authority of the legislature. What I believe isn't so much important because I'm not a member of the Supreme Court of Texas. If I was, I think we'd be a lot better off. I think we could replace them out with y'all folks, and I think we'd be better off too. But the Texas Disaster Act is already, I know a number of legislators that are working on reforms to that I think will actually be meaningful and powerful. I don't think that you need to amend the Constitution to do that. And so hopefully that answers your question. Other questions? Yes, sir.
How about the House group? That is really set before they go into session.
Yeah, so
Is that before they elect the speaker?
So the question is about House rules when they go into the session, is that before they elect the speaker. I think they do a housekeeping resolution at the beginning that says we're going to keep the old rules temporarily, then they elect the speaker, then they change the rules. So that's the way it ought to go down. In terms of specific rules, I think it's a noble approach if one of y'all says, I want to learn the rules of the Texas House. I'll tell you, it's a very nebulous thing, it's a difficult thing, but if you want to, you can do it. It's kind of like Robert's rules. If you want to learn it, go ahead. But in terms of things that actually are practically important, there's only a few things that they ought to do to change the rules. Things like making it to where if you have 76, you have a simple majority of people that can get something out of committee and take it right to the floor. Making it to where all the votes in committee go into the journal so you can see who did it. If somebody voted to kill something, you can see who did it. State Representative Tony Tinderholt has been a leader on that. And then most importantly, this isn't one of the rules, but it's to appoint Republicans to chair committees. I mean, could you imagine if up in D.C., Mitch McConnell had appointed a Democrat to chair the Judiciary Committee? I don't think we'd have gotten 2 Supreme Court justices. And I'll tell you, if we appoint another Democrat to chair the Public Health Committee in the Texas House, like they did last time, I don't think we're going to get any pro-life bills like we didn't last time. So what's your question on changing how the speaker's elected? Yeah, but like to make it a statewide election or something. I don't know that we necessarily have a problem with. There are people who say that the Speaker of the Texas House has enough power; they ought to be elected statewide. I think there's merit to that argument. But insofar as long as they are elected within the House, it's going to be by majority. And it's just making it to where they pick the right guy. I'll take another question, then I'll pass the hot seat to somebody else. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Alan West's statement, it really captures the spirit of my feeling. I just have so much contempt for some of these people, especially in the Texas House. They're so cowardly, they're so useless. I don't even understand why they're there. Is there something that you could tell us we could do, or maybe it's something you guys could start doing, just signal to us what really gets under these particular people's skin, so we control them, so we can make them uncomfortable, so that they make mistakes. You know, you guys are there. These people especially the really cowardly ones, they don't go in public. They don't really know them. They don't know what different team. What can we do, and is that something maybe you guys can do?
Yes, that's a great question. So for those watching up in the Panhandle, the question is, what can we do to really get under the skin of these lawmakers who don't want to listen to us, who think that they can go along to get along and become part of the political establishment in Austin? I'll tell you, first and foremost, public criticism absolutely gets under their skin. A cool and fun thing you can do if you have a website, or if you're, first of all, plug in the Texas Scorecard. We're happy to accept commentaries if you want to write, "My state representative sucks and you ought to know why." Sounds like a great issue for a commentary. You ought to, hassle their staff by not only you calling and saying, "Yeah, I'm the same jerk who called yesterday and I still want you to, why are you spending all this time on a dog tethering bill when we have unborn children who need to be protected? Why are you spending all this time on, Texas Muslim Appreciation Day or any of this other silly stuff," right? So that's important. Recruit a couple of your rowdy friends to do that too. And then go on into their districts. Right there, Mr. Francis.
Donate today in a major way to Kelly Lucer's campaign. Remember the skin, do it today.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity to send the entire Austin political establishment a message that you don't want them to continue their funny business. I think we've got plenty of time here for questions, but I don't want to hog the mic. I know that I probably have the best voice up here because mostly I've got a face for radio and a voice for it too. But I'm going to go ahead and throw the microphone back to Michael Quinn Sullivan, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. I think he actually said no more than 52 more questions is what he said.
All right, so I think Carrie's wants up here with us. Yes, Mr. McCarty.
Yes, Michael Quinn Sullivan, as the Republican chairman, as we called his own elected members, writers before.
So Mr. McCarty asks, has the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas ever referred to a Republican legislator as a traitor before? Look, I've been covering Texas politics for more than 25 years. I've never heard that. Now there were several who definitionally fell into the category of traitors to the Republican Party. It's just we didn't have a Republican Party chairman willing to call reality what it was. And I think, Alan West, whatever else people may think about him, that man is representing the Republican Party brand's neck, and he is standing firm for the values that is refreshing and new and different and exciting. So, yes, ma'am.
I just moved here last year from Nashville. What can you tell me that I need to know about co-parenting and
Okay, so let's chat. Okay, so the question was, this very nice lady moved from Nashville, Tennessee, and she wants to know about Charlie Guerin and Kay Granger. Oh boy. This is very simple. Actually, this is very, very simple. This kind of plugs into what Carrie was saying a moment ago. And I'm going to take a tangent to get there. So everyone, just sit back for a second. This will be fun. In 2000, and I think it was Nancy Pelosi became Speaker in 2005. Is that right? I think 2005. Yeah, you're a middle school observer. When Nancy Pelosi became Speaker the first time, which I think was 2000 and 2005, maybe it's 2003. 2007. Thank you. Okay. I was up in Washington for some meetings, which is a horrible thing to do, and I got to the airport early to go home. And I get through security, and of course, through security, everyone there has got a ticket and everything else. And I've got horrible hearing, but I've always had great eyesight. And I look down in the hallway, and there's a big group of people surrounding the new Speaker of the House, the Speaker for 3 months. They're surrounding her, and they look very angry. And I'm thinking, wow, I've got 2 hours. And so I go to join what I think are my people, and as I finally get close enough, I can now hear what they're saying. And they are asking, why hasn't George Bush been arrested for war crimes? Why are there still businesses? Why has the income tax been raised? These are not our people. And so I turned around and left. And I'm like the only person on the planet. You'll remember a couple of months later, all the conservatives made fun of her because she's asking the military to fly her back and forth from Washington to San Francisco. I was like, oh, I would if I were. There was no way I would want to do that. Meanwhile, when I got back home, one of our divine, God-like federal officials, John Cornyn, who everyone is Republicans are perpetually mad at. Okay, I'm walking through the Austin airport and I'm seeing folks, Mr. Cornyn, selfies and everything else with him, and and it's this problem that I run into perpetually in conservative circles where we are all more than happy when we are in our safe space of our Tea Party, or Republican club, or whatever. You go, oh, Charlie Garrett stinks. Kate Granger's corrupt. Oh, which are true. But then they walk in the door. Oh, Miss Granger, it's so good to see you. Your dress is so nice, and oh, can I get a picture with you? And we are the Tories of England who shout, "God save the king!" The king's an idiot. God save the king! I like a king, And I see that a lot. Forgive me. I've never lived in Tarrant County. I'm here as your guest. But Tarrant County is the worst of it. Well, in line with the other 253 counties, probably. But, Charlie Garrett is, one of the guys, a swampy, sewery Republican in the Texas House. Meanwhile, what I hear people who vote for him say, and some of you can back me up on this, well, his parents were wonderful people. And his brother did a great job as Secretary of the Army 4,000 years ago. So we got to keep electing Charlie Garrett. Because that's what, well, no, you're not constitutionally required to keep voting for him, right? With Kate Granger, you have a different kind of problem. A whole lot of research has been done. That's with Robert Montoya with Texas Scorecard sitting back here in the back. Looking at she and her son's corrupt deals in the Panther Island Development Project. And look, I understand that, we're all, it's go elephants, boo donkeys, but I tend to not really give a rip when we're talking about taking advantage of taxpayers and people being corrupt and doing things that, engaging in cronyism. So, Kay Granger, Charlie Garrett, if you are misrepresented by them, 2022 is right around the corner. So. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Why not? Now I've depressed everyone. Sorry. Yes, ma'am. The way you combat the government who puts so much pressure on these people is for each one of us to put pressure on these people. Because here's what I know for an absolute fact. On the floor of the Texas House, if you're a member of the Texas House, what you know completely and absolutely that you know nowhere else in the state, if you're a state representative, you're at DFW Airport, there's probably someone there who can vote for you. But when you're on the floor of the Texas House, those 149 people definitionally can't vote for you. Okay? They are the least important people on the state to every state legislator. And they listen to them more than they listen to you. And I would suggest it's probably because you and I don't speak loud enough. Right? The governor comes in and he's Mr. Governor. Oh, yay. But you know what? Greg Abbott only gets to vote for one state rep. Right? So you and I just have to speak louder. The governor's push last session for no drama, nothing controversial. It's funny how what that means is nothing conservative, no Republican reforms, no good government. What it means is, let's just do what the lobby wants. Let's do what the taxpayer-funded lobbyists who are taking all you guys out to dinner, who are funding Drew Springer's campaign. That's what they want in Senate District 30, the special election up there. That's what that means. And so you and I just have to commit to yelling louder. And I'm sorry, I know it's not genteel. I know that, we're all supposed to be good little choir boys and choir girls, and we're supposed to smile. And, you can smile, but you can yell louder or smile. Reward everyone else. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Is there any legislation where Republicans are going to
Yeah, like all of it.
Yeah, the hot mic. So today, she asked, I'll repeat the question. Is there any legislation that's been filed that we should be worried about, and specifically when it comes to education? So today was the very first day of pre-filing bills, and so, in the House, essentially, by the way, I want to let you, I worked in the Capitol for a little bit. Your representatives are going to want to say, oh my gosh, I spent so much time during the interim. I actually pre-filed my bill. I got it in early. Do you know what that means? It means they had a staffer. Literally, do you know what a bill? I'm going to lift the curtain here. A bill usually is a sentence fragment that is sent to legal counsel, and they draft the bill, and then some kid who's in, 20 or so says, that looks good, and then they click file, and then the representative goes out there and says, I got to work for you. So today was the first day of filing bills. That was a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's kind of fun. As far as those actual bills, look, we've actually been driving up here to go speak with you all. I haven't gotten the chance to look through those, but I can tell you that in the coming days we're going to be looking through those. I think there was 500 bills pre-filed last I checked. I think there's maybe close to 1,000 or so by the end of the day. So we're going to be looking through those, and then I'll be able to give you more information. So kind of a non-answer, but a long way to not answer the question. Yes.
Yeah, so let me say what happened. So, speaking of education, I think that's an important point. We have been watching how the young people in the country have been basically brainwashed with the leftist ideas. I was born in Cuba, I came from Cuba, living with the communists most of my life. So what I've seen over the last 10 years ago, my wife and I have been watching this, how the youth and the American people in general have been drinking this Kool-Aid about talk about bringing back into high school, knowing the kids difference between capitalism and communism. I think it's very important for them to understand the difference. Without understanding the difference, we have everything we're talking about here is going to go like the wind and go away like the wind. We need to go and become like them. We need to start psychologically, we start propaganda everywhere we go to. Every time you speak to somebody, start viewing your propaganda. We need to come at them with the same tools that they have been, oppressing us for so many years. I live on communism all my life. Communism is the root of all evil that we're watching today. And the Democrats are nothing more than offshoot of that communist propaganda that we have been
Yes.
for the last 100 years. So I don't care what you guys talk about here tonight. All I'm telling you is a guy who has lived on the socialism, lived on the communism, you guys need to wake up. Are alive and well in this country. And your kids and your grandkids are going to be living under that crap for the next century if you don't watch it. And the founding fathers are revolving to the truth right now. Ronald Reagan is revolving on his tomb right now. Margaret Thatcher is revolving on his tomb right now. All the people that have really brought this country to the greatest nation that ever lived. I kiss the ground that I walk on. When I came to this country, I joined the United States Navy. I became a naval aviator. Okay, I'm an engineer. America is the best land that we've ever seen in the history of mankind. Yes. We need to wake up and educate our youth who are being spoiled with this communist leftist crap that they get in school. For example, Mandela. Let's talk about Mandela like if he was a hero. Mandela was nothing but a Marxist who basically got into you guys speak very well, you have great knowledge of your English language, and you have the microphone. But I'm telling you right now, these communist bastards are out to kill you. And you need to fight back. I don't have any other schools to go to. I've left everything behind, my family, my property, everything, to come here. I'm not about to lose it. This is it. I need to stand my ground.
Absolutely. Very, very well said.
You know, sir, to your very point, the way that we stop the growth of communism and socialism in this country is what this nice young lady mentioned in our schools. And if we're all sitting here hoping that Representative Billy is going to file a magic piece of legislation, no, it's not going to happen. Your school is controlled by a group of people that you don't vote for. They're called your school board. You can vote for them. You should vote for them. But far too many conservatives don't participate in that election. You will have 5-6%, maybe 10% turnout in school board elections, and almost none of those people are people who agree with you and me about the values and principles that should guide our government. The reason we do public education in Texas, according to the state constitution, is not to get people ready to go be workers. That's not why we do education. We don't do education so people can do change at the Chick-fil-A. We don't do public education so that people can get jobs in factories. We do public education so that according to our state constitution in Texas, we do public education so that the liberties of the people in our republic are protected, period. And yet public education is producing people who can't even give change at Chick-fil-A. They're producing people who aren't qualified to work in those factories and aren't able to and aren't willing to protect our republic. And that's all because you and I aren't participating in school board elections, because you and I aren't showing up and asking really, really hard, difficult questions of the men and women who want to serve on our local school boards. We can't hope for some president, some Congress, some governor, some state legislature to do our job for us. As citizens, we are supposed to be in charge. We don't get to offload our responsibility, our moral responsibility to run this country. And this gentleman right here, I hope you all listen to him and make sure he keeps coming back. He has the new member bag, so don't let him leave. Make him come back. Really, okay, we got 2 more questions. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. GCISD, Grapevine Colleyville ISD. Yeah, Grapevine Colleyville ISD. We know they've been doing great stuff in Colleyville for years. That Grapevine Colleyville ISD, I think, has been, it's been a tough nut for them to crack. But actually, you had this time, I think, 2 of their 3 candidates are in runoffs now, it looks like, right? So, yeah. 1 and 1. Okay, yeah. I couldn't quite recall, but big thing. And they've got a Marxist club in their schools. So now is the time to be fighting, especially if you live in that district. 1 more question. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Stephanie Click is in the Dave Phelan camp. She is. You need, it's only 8 p.m. It's socially acceptable to call for at least another hour and a half. Yeah. And, so I will give the microphone back to Fran or Julie here, but I will just conclude this. Let me encourage each of you. Your state representative, your state senator, your congressman will tell you at every opportunity, well, just email my office. Do you know what that's code for? Shut up. Okay? Don't email their office. And look, a lot of them are well-meaning. They might be wrong and evil, but they're well-meaning. Email is the worst possible way for you to communicate with the state legislature. You know why? Because I know exactly what Jeff Case's email address is going to be in the Texas House. It's going to be jeff.cason@texas.house.gov. Okay, that's going to be his email address. And if I know that, every pharmaceutical and adult entertainment website on the planet knows that, and they get flooded with emails coming in. All right. So if you have your state rep's cell phone, their personal email address, better if you have their spouse's cell phone, email them that way. Otherwise, write them a postcard. Write them a postcard. Don't write long 27-page treatises on the history of the comma, that kind of thing. Short postcards and make it very clear, I'm your voter, here's my voter ID, and here's the address that I vote from, and I will remember. Communicate with them just like remember, they're your employee. Communicate with them as your employee. They work for you. You don't work for them, no matter what they might think. During my campaign, I was the only one that I knew of that gave everybody my personal cell phone number right here. Every piece of literature that we handed out. And if you're in my district tonight and you don't have my phone number, come to me, I will give it to you. You can text me. Well, I don't want these people that aren't in my district to have it. I'm possessive. So anyway, and I've been told I'm one of very few people do that. So if you want my phone number, come to me. That's where you come over to.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I'm not sure when I've laughed so much. So that was really entertaining. Thank you. I do want two things I want to tell you. First of all, Shelley Luther is here, and we're going to let our candidate speak. Where is she? She's here somewhere. Oh, come on up. Okay, and while she's coming up, I want to let you know about an event that's happening on Saturday. I think there's actually two events, because Shelley, aren't you hosting an event in McKinney? Is it Sunday? Sunday at 3. Okay, so that's going to be a Stop the Steal event. Saturday in Dallas, there's another Stop the Steal event. 2 of them, actually, I'm told. Okay? Oh, Saturday at 2. There's a Stop the Steal event. And it was actually emailed to me today, and I asked what the venue is, and they said they're not releasing it yet so that they don't have a bunch of counter-protesters there. But I will email it out as soon as we get it. Okay, so watch for that. Okay, Shelley Luther.
Hello! Let me explain. Tim and I were just participating in a charity golf tournament for the Anna Police Law Enforcement Association. So that's why we look like this, and we didn't want to miss the meeting, so we came as is. It's not as bad as my mugshot, so we'll go there. All right, I just wanted to piggyback on some of the things the guy said. One of the ladies asked, how do we get our reps to do something? Put them on the internet, call the media, and call them out. Call them out. We had all of these representatives. When I was in jail, my husband contacted every single person possible around us, all of our, local representatives, and there was a list of about 10 people he called and emailed when I was in jail. Help, 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 help. Senator Cruz was the first person to call back. There's a list of about 3 names, but I can tell you it was not anybody that represented my community directly. And I called a couple of them out on video, and they stopped talking about me. Because I'm known as the person that if you talk about me, I'm going to come to you and say, what's going on. Let's deal with this in person, out in front of everybody, because guess what? I taught high school for 13 years and I don't play. So when my opponent says lies about me, hi.
For the folks who are new, could you tell people why you were in jail? Because you were in jail.
Oh, you don't know. I forget. I'm in a new. They're like, should we leave now? Just kidding. I'm the salon owner that went to jail for opening my shop early. You guys went from wanting to leave to an standing ovation. That's cool. Thank you for that. Okay, so your purse and everything is fine. No. Sorry, I don't know why I'm trying to be funny. Okay, so putting people on blast. Let's talk about Governor Abbott. I'll put him on blast right now. I'm the only one that got him to do anything. You want to know why? Because media, 40 cameras a day at my shop. And they loved it. They loved the drama. And so he opened salons 10 days earlier, and he also said no one could go to jail anymore for actually living your life and working and feeding your kids. Imagine that. So you guys had a nicer term for it. I call it public humiliation because they deserve it. And I'm not talking everybody because there are some of the good guys that are there, but I'm talking about the rhinos. There's several videos if you just want some comedy. There's several videos on my Facebook of me calling my opponent out, and it is literal. Oh, you put out mailers of me that are, $300,000 you spent that I support Black Lives Matter, and so why don't you just tell everybody here instead of cowering behind a mailer? Stop it, Shelly. No, seriously, come on, get up. Get up right now. Tell everybody, I support Black Lives Matter. That's what you're saying, right? Follow the rules, Shelly. That's the response I got. So you call them out, that's how it stops. Seriously, you have to. My phone number is 214-551-4677. Also on every piece of legislature that I put out, I will have that phone. And when I do win the Senate, because I will, you are more than welcome to call me, because even though most of you are not in my district, I still am representing Texas as a whole, and you are still important to me. Whether you're a voter or not, you are important to me. The other thing I did want to talk about was my event on Sunday, and it is at 3 o'clock, and it's already at like it might be around 2,000 people already. But all I want to say is, Trump is still my president, and he will be my president for 4 more years. No question about it, and I will fight until that is done and whatever we need. So we wanted to have a little rally. Well, now it's at like 2,000 people. You are all welcome to come. We have a live band and food trucks and everything to celebrate one of the best presidents that we've ever had, especially since Reagan. So go to my Facebook page, Shelly Luther, if you want more information. Thanks for letting me speak. Yes. Oh my. Thank you. Shelly Luther Campaign Fund, and Tim can handle that. I didn't mean for that to happen, but thank you very much. I appreciate y'all's time. If you have questions, I'll hang out and talk after. Thanks.
Thank you, Shelly. All right, that's it, guys. If you enjoyed tonight, please, we have this banner for a reason. You can take your picture. We can get the guys up here to take a picture with you and put it on social media and remind people we do this again Tuesday night in Denton and Thursday night in Dallas. Okay? Have a good night.
Wow. That was a joke.
You want to selfie with me looking like this?